Hello everybody, I just want to say hello. We're gonna get started here soon. I got a countdown timer. I'm gonna wait till that runs out. Hopefully we can get some people in here. We got 3 people in here. If you guys want to get the show started, let me know. I see we got some chats here already. Appreciate you guys leaving your thoughts on the episode. We're gonna get into that all very soon. So 5 more minutes here and then we'll jump right into it, guys. Thanks for dropping by. What is up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's your boy Shuggy. Let's get this music shut off, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. I see we got a ton of chats already to respond to. Super exciting day. This is the final episode of Walking Dead ever. Your boy Shuggy was very excited for today, and I gotta say, I'm overall very satisfied with the episode. It was an emotional episode. Lots of catharsis, lots of emotional payoffs. We got a happy, hopeful ending. We actually got somewhat like the comic ending. That's something we want to get into a little bit later. I can take off the stream beginning soon because we've already begun. We got the final issue of the comic here, and I'm going to be doing some comparison. We're going to do that after the episode breakdown. So we're going to go through some of the original ending and compare and contrast what my thoughts are on the ending between the comic and the show. Of course, we're going to talk about the spinoffs. I got some articles pulled up as well if we got time for that. And of course, we're going to do our full episode review here. So I am really, really excited to be here with you guys, actually chatting with you guys. We got so much to get into. I'm so happy. Thank you to William Miller. He was the first one in the chat. Alex, Eric Stewart, you're always here in the comment section. Love chatting with all you guys all the time. I really want to hear what you guys think about the episode. Let's take a look at some comments before we get into my thoughts on the episode. I want to see what some of you guys are talking about. So, thanks for tuning in, Bill. Yeah, he's been here since the beginning. He was like, I remember when you barely had 13 subs here for you, man. I really appreciate that. And yeah, we will be addressing the channel direction probably towards the end of the stream, what we're going to do. Walking Dead's not over, so Walking Dead will still be a part of the channel. We're going to try to find other stuff you guys like as well. Of course, we're going to cover Last of Us in January, but we'll get into a bit more of that later on. Alex, excited. Let's kick it off. Yes, I had the countdown timer. I like to let people gather in, and so we can get some more chats and stuff. Eric, you're liking the episode. You got to see Rick. Yes, of course, we got to see Rick. The biggest moments of the episode, Pamela got taken out. The Horde got taken out. We got a flash forward to a happy ending with Ezekiel as president. Pamela didn't die. Well, there's a lot we have to get into. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I'm happy. Poor Rosita, that was hard to watch. That was one of the most brutal deaths on Walking Dead ever, and they gave her a really nice send-off. I'm really, really happy about it. You're watching Talking Dead. I won't get to watch Talking Dead until probably tomorrow after work or maybe the day after. If anything happens on there, I will cover it then. But yeah, glad you're enjoying that. Hyped to see Rick back, of course. Yeah, they're back. Yeah, of course, seeing Rick and Michonne was the highlight of the episode. Getting to see the next chapter of The Walking Dead, a little bit of a preview. Of course, we're going to break that down. I predicted it was just going to be a little teaser. I think I can take the victory lap on that. That's what we got. We got a little teaser at the end. We got a nice little recap of the show and saying goodbye to one show and saying hello to the new story arc. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah, we're seeing Rick was just awesome. Also, I think that scene of Rick being caught by CRM is what happened before Michonne found the boat with Rick's things on it. It hints that's why he had the phone. And the carving that Michonne found, that Nexus core, that is a very good comment. And I think you might be right. You know, we saw him, he escaped the CRM, and then he got caught again. So I think that is a fair explanation for what happened. And I think you might be onto something there. Sorry, I don't speak Spanish. My apologies. I wish I did. Yes. And I think we're about caught up. I cried so much. I absolutely am not ashamed to admit that I did as well. Let me know if my volume is okay, guys. I hope I'm sounding all right on your guys' end. Yeah, I think they nailed the episode. I'm really excited. Where's Dwight and Heath? Dwight is on Fear the Walking Dead now. Arnell, so no Dwight in this episode. I don't think he'll obviously be coming back to Alexandria anytime soon. Heath might come back on the Rick and Michonne spinoff in the CRM stuff. That's been confirmed as a possibility. I wouldn't count on it, though. I don't think any contract's been signed about that or anything confirmed. I thought Rick was going to appear when they were eating dinner. I know, right? I love that we got a Thanksgiving scene. That was so cool. And like the timing of it is absolutely perfect. I think they planned that. I haven't seen Rick. Can you replay that for me? We have to watch playing parts of the episode. I can show still images from the episode, but otherwise the stream might get yanked last minute, so we can't do that. We got to be careful with the copyright. Yeah, end of the episode was great. Powerful to see them come together. Absolutely, Eric. You wish there was more closure. Yes, there's definitely some open-ended questions here. Like, we never really found out what happened with people getting disappeared from the Commonwealth and what was going on. Was it just the prison camps? Or I assumed that we were going to get a CRM hint in there, but, you know, they went with more of the happy ending, which I do appreciate the hopeful ending. And before we get into my review, I'm going to read from the Book of Kirkman, as I like to call it, the original comic. So yeah, Rick was awesome, of course. Wish there was more closure as well, Alex. Volume is good, thank you. Why did Pamela say B-17 in a dramatic moment? And people tied it to that standing for Rick. B-17 was Pamela calling to her soldiers to let the walkers come in. She did that at the beginning of part 3 with the initial lockdowns when that protest was happening. She said B-17 then, and then she said B-17 when she eventually brought the climbers in. So that's where B-17 comes from. I've been watching for years. I've not seen the new ones. Yes, Walking Dead has changed my life. That's why this day is such a big day, and that's what I want to emphasize. Okay, we're going to get into my thoughts on the episode. I love reacting to what you guys have to say. We'll get back to it as we go. I meant to put up chat on screen here. Sorry, I do have chat right here. We're going to leave it up. But when I do the review, we're going to take the chat down. And then, because I'm probably going to edit this into my video that I will eventually post. You think we'll get some short teasers for all 3 new seasons soon just to hype them up? I think we'll get something. They have to market something. You know that they're going to want to roll with the momentum a little bit. I don't think they're going to want to wait too long to show us something, but of course everything's in production right now. So also I wish Daryl had more of a reaction when he found out Rick was alive. It was subtle, but it was there. Yeah, I don't know that Daryl is that an overly emotional guy that's like gonna you know that's what we're doing watching it. Rick made it, absolutely. The Rick was the most satisfying part, of course. I'm doing well, Simon. How are you? Thanks for coming. Rosita, out of all people, her death made me alive, so made me love her so much more. I think you mean. Yes, I fully agree. She had the perfect send-off, and apparently, according to Angela Kang, it was indeed her idea. The Walker boss fight was kind of lame, though. Wishing for more. You mean the big explosion at the end? Or, yeah, I mean, I do have some qualms about that part, but we're going to get into my overall thoughts on the episode. But before we do that, I just want to read from Robert Kirkman when he surprise ended the comic. For those who don't know, they didn't announce that they were going to end it. It was like a few days before it leaks out that the final issue is going to be the last one for Walking Dead ever. It was devastating at the time, but I just wanted to take a moment here to say that you know, he ended the comic with a hopeful ending as well. And he said that The Walking Dead is and always has been a story of hope. Now that I'm looking at it, it's a little bit longer, so maybe I won't read it. It's a bit longer than I intended. But, yeah, so it was absolutely insane how the comic ended. And we'll get back to it. Overall, I just want to say it's not as cool as the comic book ending, because the comic book ending went several years ahead. And Carl was there, so we got to see Carl grown up and Carl's next generation. Rick actually, spoiler alert for the comics, Rick actually died in the issue previous to the final issue. And his legacy was of civilization itself, so people remembered him fondly. And the story ends with Carl Grimes telling the story of Rick Grimes to his daughter, and that to me is this is the true ending to The Walking Dead, and it completes Rick's story, and it makes the comic story really focused on telling Rick Grimes' full arc. So we're gonna get back to comparing the endings a little bit later, but I just want to say that out front that the comic ending is still the true ending to me, but this is close because it incorporates a lot of elements from that ending. I think you mean coral. Yes, you are correct, Alex. I said it wrong. I apologize. But now I think it's time to get into the breakdown of the episode. We're going to go how we always do. We're going to go each scene by scene, and break it down. So I hope you guys will stay with me. I'll check chat periodically, but while I'm doing the review, I won't be able to read it as much. So I'm going to take the chat off the screen for now, and we're going to just break into the episode. So here we got the previously scenes, and we start off with Daryl going into this makeshift hospital, and he's screaming for help. It's shot from a point of view perspective. I wasn't as wild about the way that they shot it. I felt it could have been a little bit more immersive, and I'm not really sure what happened with there were soldiers that came in, and then it cuts to black, and then Daryl's on the ground. I'm not really sure what happened with the soldiers. Did the soldiers attack Daryl and then leave? Why didn't they shoot Daryl if that was their mission? I'm not really sure exactly what happened there. So that was one thing that took me out of it a little bit, but I'm loving how high the tension is right off the bat. And one of the elements of this episode that does elevate it to that finale status, of course, is putting all the kids in danger. And also in the background of the scene, you notice they actually have a full orchestra for this episode. They even did the theme song, the main theme song. We got a rendition of it from an orchestral score. So I really appreciate that, actually. It was pretty cool. Definitely something that I noticed. I don't typically notice or mention the music in the show in the reviews too much, but yeah, that was something that I was pleasantly surprised to see. But we're fighting the zombies. She's has the presence of mind to get up and close the door. Daryl's knocked out. The situation's really tense, and fighting that zombie, it's really intense. I would say just overall, I would have liked to see a bit more stuff with the variants in this episode. They touch on it in one scene. They're like, the variants are too dangerous to attack directly, but I still would have liked to see some, zombie stab another person. Maybe of course we did get them smashing windows with rocks, but we've seen that before, right? So I would have liked to see a little bit of new stuff with the variants. It almost makes me feel like the variant part is a little bit limited with what they can do with it, or what their plans were. I expected more from the variants. So that's something I need to say just off the bat. But yeah, the main intro, I think it was a pretty good start to the episode. The tension's really high. Everything's really cool, and we're going into that theme song, and of course it is the rendition with the full orchestra, which is really cool. It seems very excessive, but I like that they went all the way with the final episode, of course. The show only ends once. And here we were picking up with right where we left off at the end of the last episode, with everybody fighting the Horde and running for their lives. And of course, we right off the bat in the episode, this is where I thought the episode might be a little bit bloodier than it ended up being, but we got our first two big deaths here. And we got, of course, Luke and Jules both biting the dust. Luke lasts a little bit longer than Jules. Absolutely devastating scene. Very brutal. Especially this hospital part right here. All the close-ups, all the blood and the tears, and there's like even saliva going on in this scene. The intimacy of this scene, and just how devastating it is to see everybody's reaction to it. Absolutely amazing scene. And I'll be honest, Luke is not really, I enjoyed his character, but I never felt that attachment to him. Him dying doesn't do it that much for me, but the way they shot that scene and the way the everybody else reacted to the situation, wow. And again, elevating it to that finale status. And here we are with Daryl and Carol. on the other side just watching it happen. I mean, that there's the saliva. You can't see it. Let me cover my face real quick. That's saliva, though. Look at that. Nasty, bro. But, dude, this scene, absolutely brutal. And like I said, the way they shoot it, close-ups, intimacy, absolutely great directing choices. And you watch them try to save a man and absolutely fail. And we get a brief exposition from Carol about all the groups splitting up and where everybody is. One group going after the kids, one group going after Mercer, and they have a plan. They're going to take it to the estates with Pamela and everything. And here we are breaking into Mercer's prison cell. It's a recognizable prison cell, of course. And we get the tearful reunion with his sister. And I forget who else is there. Is Eugene there? Or no, Princess is there, of course. So we get the reunion with her. And that felt a little bit too easy. But again, there's a lot in this episode. And we already know that the Commonwealth has fallen back. But wouldn't they want to take the prisoner with them? Because they'd be kind of worried about our group taking taking Mercer, right? When they should be worried about that, I would think. So I don't know. But anyways, I like fracturing the group and separating out the storylines. And we get really nice payoffs with Negan and Maggie in this episode. I'm surprised how far they were able to take it with those two characters. Because we've had so many scenes with them every episode this season, especially earlier on. And I was thinking that relationship had strained a little bit and that we did about everything we could. I was wrong. So they really went that extra mile. And it is going to be interesting to see where they go from here with the spinoff. Because they didn't set it up as much as I thought they were going to. Excuse me while I take a moment. If you guys didn't know, I was sick for the past 2 weeks. So I'm still recovering. But, we got to do the stream because it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, Okay, so let's take a break and take a look at some chats, see what you guys are saying so far. I wish more people died, in my opinion. Arnell, I absolutely agree. I've been saying that all season. As far as this episode, I think there's enough emotional payoff that I don't know that we needed more death in this episode, but in this season, absolutely. And they easily could have had one or two more if they really wanted. But I think they are saving everybody for spinoffs. They are scared to kill off anybody. It's AMC. They're very conservative with how they make their business decisions. So no surprise there. You saw Philadelphia pop up behind the CRM helicopter at the end, right? Yes, absolutely. And that was, of course, the original setting for the movies. People speculated based on the movie poster that they put out, or like a trailer or something. It showed Philly skyline. So yes, I did notice that, of course. I think Luke's death was handled amazing. Such a minor character, but man, did I cry my eyes out. I fully agree. They hit Daryl in the eye with the gun. Okay, so that's responding to the soldiers that ran in. I don't, why would they just leave him there, though? That's my question. He's kind of a troublemaker for them. They've declared war on them at this point. So why wouldn't they just shoot him and be done with it, right? What do you guys think? Yeah, they did the same thing with Daryl and Judith in the hospital, like how Shane did with Rick. Yeah, and they had to wheel her around. Shut the door. Yeah, that's actually a really good point there. They definitely intentionally drew as many parallels as they could. It would be so cool if the Daryl show leads into the Rick and Michonne somehow, and they all come together to bring Rick home. That was the implication. Daryl left at the end. I was super confused by that because him waking up in Europe is extra confusing now. There's no CRM connection. What is happening? So I don't really understand how he's going to end up over there. He's trying to go after Rick and Michonne, and he gets kidnapped, sidetracked. Who knows what goes on? I'm really confused. I did not expect the Daryl ending, I have to say. I like Deuce to death. We haven't had a gritty death in a long time. Felt like a proper horror movie. Alex, you're absolutely correct. They forget sometimes that they need to go that extra mile to make it extra nasty. I think they've been missing some opportunities this season, so I agree. Luke's death was hard to watch and never really cared for him. It was still sad. Eric, we're in the same boat. I fully 100% agree. I kind of wish Mercer did more ass kicking. I agree with that as well, Eric. I think Mercer could have had some more big moments, but he did have his big moment, but it wasn't in a fight scene, right? It was standing up to Pamela at the end, but we already knew he was going to do that, right? So that's just our expectation. Negan and Maggie's combo later in the episode was fantastic. Yes, we will absolutely get to that. And cool, I think we're caught up now. Let's keep moving on with the episode. Sorry, we're going to have to take some breaks every now and again. Okay, I appreciate you guys' feedback and everybody for being here. Thank you so much. We're going to get back to reviewing this episode. So here's a part where we're with our crew here, and we finally catch up with some people who are stuck in the horde. And I think it's kind of funny to see them come out and then no other zombies follow them, and it kind of conveniently there's a little bit of a stall there. So you guys know I already nitpick. I do nitpick, so that's just how we do it. That is, I think, a nitpick worth pointing out, but it doesn't hurt my enjoyment of the episode. And another intense scene here where we're with Rosita and the crew finding the children, and the baby is under a crib and there's a zombie reaching at the baby. That was absolutely very intense. It's a quick scene, not a lot to it, but again, putting the kids in danger gives it that extra oomph to it, that extra emotional connection automatically. So it's a great scene. And then, you know, Daryl and Judith, he gave her his blood. One thing I was thinking about, let me know if you guys remember this. I don't remember Daryl having the blood type of just being able to give people blood whenever. They have that great line of dialogue that they used to sell it for money, or that his brothers would do that to him. So I don't remember this coming up before, and let me know if you guys remember, but I feel like it would have come up at some point. There's been enough situations where people might have needed blood that it does feel like if it didn't come up before, it should have. So it could be a retconning issue, but I again would have to check so many episodes of the show. I don't even really remember. But do you guys remember Daryl being a universal donor like that? Let me know what you guys think in the chat. The blood type was true ex machina. Yeah, okay, so you guys agree it does seem like out of the blue. I feel like that would have had to have come up before with Carl, with how many people have been shot or injured and have been healing up before. You would have thought that would have come up before, but you know, maybe not. But I like the connection with Judith here, and this is where Judith lets slip that her dad is still alive. She knows, and Michonne knows that her dad is alive, and that's where he really went. And of course, this leads to Daryl's ending of him running off. You know, which again, I'm like, would he really want to do that? Because she told him she was scared to tell him because he would run off, and that's exactly what he does, is run off. Is that really the right thing that he should do for Judith? You know, I don't know. Maybe they had that conversation off screen. I mean, it was a year time jump there. That's a lot of time. So I don't know. But I do love this scene where we got to wheel her out and the horde is crashing in. Of course, that's the part where we get to see a little bit of the variance. And, you know, these scenes are pretty intense here. And we're back out with Rosita and Gabriel and Eugene. And we got to do this stunt where we're climbing this pipe. Now, I take one look at that pipe, and I'm like, no way. No way that is going to hold. But it does. And this is the scene in all the trailers where we're like, okay, Rosita looks like she dies giving up, trying to save her baby. And I was like, there's no way that they're going to give something like that away in the trailer, right? No way that they would show somebody's death, or at least the moment of their death, in the trailer. It's got to be a fake out. So when they actually, even though in my prediction video I did say I think she's gonna die, and that's of course what ends up happening, but they did a nice little fake out where she gets a moment where she falls on the ground, but she has a moment where she gets to fight back, and she jumps on the bus and whatnot. So I liked her jumping up from the ground and coming back, and it felt like that fake out. But again, why would they spoil a major character death in a trailer they spoiled something from the final episode that the trailer came out months ago, so it just feels kind of unprofessional that to reveal something that big in a trailer for the season. Not even a trailer for the final episode, for the whole season. That's like, and the fact she actually did die there, it's so big. So the pipe scene is a little ridiculous. You know, I don't. I don't know if I buy that it would hold all three of them. I love the drama of the scene though, so I appreciate, and the sacrifice that Rosita made. It all pays off. So they could have done a little bit more with the scene itself, in my opinion. So let's take a look at some more chats. We're gonna take a little pause here. The blood type was definitely BS. You agree with me? Glad to hear that. Daryl had absolutely no reaction upon hearing Rick is alive. He did. There was a look on his face. He did acknowledge it. He did look at Judith in a certain way, but he knew that it wasn't the most important thing at that moment. So I do, maybe a little bit more reaction from him would have made sense. I did not see when Daryl found out that Rick was alive. It was in that scene with Judith. She said it kind of under her breath. It kind of reminded me of Breaking Bad with the 2 cell phones. Glad Dog is okay. Yes, of course, Dog is okay. Was hoping Connie and Daryl got together. I was thinking that too, but they're holding that off. And Daryl's like, I'm going to come back. So I think he wants to keep her at a distance for some reason. I think he's scared. I don't know if he's scared to commit or if he just doesn't want to do anything until after he gets back alive. So yeah, Rick had to give all his blood to Carl, and Daryl never said a word, Eric says. So absolutely, that's a Deus Ex Machina. The blood, we kind of agree. That's kind of bullshit, right? Yeah, he would have had to help out with that, right? Laura said you thought it sucked. You feel very Sopranoed right now. What was it about? What was it about the episode that you didn't like? You didn't like the pipe scene, and when did he find out Rick was alive? That was in the scene with Judith that he was giving her blood. That's when that happened. Pipe scene was ridiculous. Must say seeing her come out of that pack was awesome. Yeah, when she jumped up and was killing the zombies. Yeah, that's very satisfying. Very satisfying. Fun fact: the actress who plays Rosita is like an actual model. Dude, you don't need to tell. I already know. You take one look at her, bro. You already know. She's too busy for a zombie show. I mean, apparently not. She's been on it for a lot of years now, right? A lot of years. Hola, sorry, I don't speak Spanish. I wish I did. When did he find out Rick was alive? We already talked about that. Imagine if it ended with Rick waking up in the hospital. I thought they might do something like that. You already know that the Rick show, they might start with him waking up in the hospital after taking the helicopter ride, right? I mean, that seems like a no-brainer. That seemed like when it was the Walking Dead movie, that had to be the way it started, right? Finale was a letdown to focus on Commonwealth and not rounding up the actual Walking Dead. I wonder what you mean by that, because they definitely do have to wrap up the Commonwealth storyline, and they kind of wrapped it up, and then gave us an epilogue after, right? So that's the actual Walking Dead is our main cast, right? Rick Grimes, stuff and things. Rick look homeless? I think he was, bro. He was. Rick was homeless, absolutely. Commonwealth should have burned. I disagree. I like how that's how the comic ended as well. So I like that Commonwealth is still around. Everything was so rushed and felt like it flowed and connected properly. I could see where you're coming from with that. It definitely it was a tightly packed episode. She writes and stars in a series that Rosita does on a Netflix series. Wait, the actress who plays Rosita is a writer as well? That's pretty cool. Rick is back. Yes, he is. But Rick was giving her or sending her notes somehow. He was throwing a message in a bottle. So who knows if it'll actually end up getting anywhere. It was just kind of like a hopeful thing. I like that symbol as well, but we'll get to that in a second. Okay, let's get back to it. A splash of water on my face, guys. On my face. All right. Who else died? We got Luke. We got Jules. we got Rosita, and there was a fourth name on the memorial that I did not recognize. I think it was a woman who died. It might be a named character people know, but it wasn't Diane. I know that. Okay, so we're gonna get back to the review, guys, and we'll check out your comments in a second. So what scene is this that we left off at? Oh, okay. We are wheeling Judith into the truck and getting her to the actual doctor. And, we get some emotional scenes here with Lydia. And I love paying this off. And, they're talking about the phantom pains that she's going to feel. That was absolutely amazing to me. And just the finer details of that. And she's losing hope because everything that she's witnessed, like, things just collapse over and over again. So I'm love that the theme of we're having a hopeful ending to The Walking Dead, but before we get there, we're giving a moment of despair. And I think that that's really important here. So I like that they have this mutual bond about, both missing an arm, and, they had a bond even before that. And Cassie McClincy, I think is her name. Amazing actress. I mean, she been amazing as Lydia on the show. I think Lydia on the show is better than Lydia in the comics. I think she has more complexity. And, although I missed some of the stuff that happened with Carl, especially the eye lick. If you guys read the comic, you know what I'm talking about. But I love this version of the character. So I think they did a good job with sending her off, giving her kind of her own happy ending here. And here we got the final showdown with Negan, I guess you could say, where Negan's been trying to convince Maggie, hey, let's run off and kill Pamela, kind of in the same way how he ran off. He had this deal with Carol to run off and kill Alpha. He's trying to do something similar with Maggie, and he, here we had a big cathartic moment after him having him on his knees about to get him killed alongside his wife. He now knows what Maggie has been through, and this is something we were saying after the last episode, or 2 episodes ago at this point, and that was a really powerful moment, and I feel like the only thing that could really bring Negan down to Maggie's level. So I really like having, this cathartic scene with Negan and Maggie here, and the fact that she can't actually fully forgive him at the end makes total sense. And talking about Glenn, of course, bringing in the past, really powerful stuff. So, I like this subplot, and he actually convinces her to let him come along, and they of course, I like how they adapted the comic moment that I've been hyping up with Maggie and Negan. We'll get back to that in a second. So here we got another huge cathartic moment with Eugene and Rosita, and here's where we found out Rosita got bit, and she's trying to take every moment that she can with her daughter, and and I love that we're sending off Rosita, as a mother first and foremost, and that's the most important thing in her life to her right now. And I love that she got bit and then got some time with our characters. I think that for a final episode makes a lot of sense, and Eugene getting to admit what she meant to him and how she was able to inspire him to be a more brave individual and to start standing up for what he believes in and fighting back and stuff like that. So again, another absolutely beautiful scene, tragic scene, and we get so many of them in this episode. And the acting in Walking Dead is always amazing, but in this last episode, it's just really appreciated. How many emotional moments that there are. And here we got Judith waking up again, and this is kind of right before the scene with the Thanksgiving scene, I think. And and then we saw Judith kind of acknowledge what she said or what she let slip to Daryl. Part of me was thinking like she wouldn't remember all that because she's dozing in and out. Her memory wouldn't necessarily be there. That's a nitpick, again. But of course we nitpick on this channel. It is what we do. That's just my way of life, guys. I'm a nitpicker. What can I say? And here we're building up to this final climax with Pamela. Now, I gotta say, overall, it feels like a little too easy to take down Pamela, but based on what they set up at this point, I really don't see how they could have stretched it out much more than this. Because unless we had other characters set up that are loyal to Pamela, that believe in what she's doing, it would be hard for me to see anybody really side with her in this conflict. You know, she's just like, everybody else dies, I stay alive, that's fine. What kind of leader is that? That's not a great leader. That's, you know, Father Gabriel pre his whole arc here. So that's absolutely not acceptable. But I like how we have guys that we recognize at the front of the group here. This is the dad of somebody who died. We saw them prominently in the protests earlier. So, you know, bringing back familiar faces. And it turns out there are actually people in the crowd that we know. There's Elijah. Who else is in the crowd? There's other people in the crowd as well that are from our group. So it's important to let them in. And this is the big moment here. And Mercer finally arrests her. And everybody's on his side. And, you know, our guys come in with the guns too. And the Horde's coming in, so you feel that tension, and I'm glad it didn't end up being a shootout. It, like I said, it did feel a bit easy, but if it just devolved into a shootout and everybody died, that would have been kind of cheap to me. A little bit, I don't know, a little bit disappointing based on what they set up. So, you know, I'm happy with how it worked out, and I'm a big fan of the twist with Maggie watching. Maggie's got her in her sights. She's got the sniper rifle up right now, and you know, we're I'm expecting that she's going to shoot her at any moment. And for those who don't know, in the comic book, there's a big moment at the end of the Commonwealth arc where Dwight is about to kill Pamela, and Rick wants to work with Pamela to save the Commonwealth. They made Pamela more evil in the show, which I like. You know, they got to add something to the Commonwealth arc because they can't do what they did in the comic book. I get that. So they made her a bit more evil, and for that reason, they didn't do it exactly like this, but Rick actually kills Dwight to save Pamela in the comics. So we have a similar moment in this scene here. So all of our good people get inside, and then the zombies are on the outside of the gates. We shut the gates, and you know, part of me's thinking, oh, wouldn't the variants start climbing? But we actually have a nice surprise cameo here with Lance Hornsby's zombie coming back. He's got the arrow in his throat and everything. I gotta say, I wasn't expecting to see him again, but I'm so glad that we did. I mean, it's very cathartic. You know, they had that weird connection, that weird sexual tension between them, that weird mother-son relationship thing. Apparently, the sexual tension was the actor's idea, and they kind of improvised that. I love that element. I think it added so much. The Lance Hornsby character was not in the comic at all. So, again, but this is the moment between Dwight and Rick in the comic. This is their shout out to that. We have Maggie shoot Lance to save Pamela, and I like that because it kind of completes Maggie's arc, because at the end of part 1, or beginning of part 2 rather, she shot a bunch of Reapers in cold blood after they already surrendered. So this is her kind of going back on that. And we also had another big moment in this, in the lead up to this, where Daryl says, "We ain't the Walking Dead." And that's also a shout out to the second to last issue of the Walking Dead comic series, because Rick has that, of course, amazing speech, "We are the Walking Dead." It's kind of the emotional crux of both the show and the comic book especially, but they did shout out to it on the show. But the reversal at the end is, we aren't the Walking Dead. We are better than that. We can rebuild civilization. It's supposed to be that hopeful message. So it felt a little bit thrown in. It wasn't as a key pivotal moment as it was in the original comic. And so ultimately, like I said, the comic ending is the true ending to me. And this doesn't quite measure up to that. But I do appreciate seeing these little shout outs to it. So we ain't the Walking Dead. Gotta say the namesake. Yes, Alex, it was very much like, he said the thing, guys. He said the thing, you know. So it felt a little bit like an afterthought, but I did appreciate it, you know. So people are saying Pamela should have died. I don't know. This is the right ending to me. You know, of course, living up that legacy that Rick fought for at the end of the Negan arc, and the fact that Negan is still around, it just wouldn't have been right. It would not have been right to kill off Pamela. We got to end that cycle. So I think this was the only way it could have really ended. So that's just my thoughts on it. And we have a final confrontation with the Horde, basically, where they have a plan to use riot shields to get through the Horde. They don't want to face the variants directly. We got these fuel stashes that we're going to leave scattered all around Pamela's house. And that's how we get our cathartic redemption from Pamela. We blow up her house. We destroy the estates that she was so desperate to protect, right? So they use that as the trap, and they rig up all the sewers. And conceptually, I loved it. I will say, of course, the effects left a little bit to be desired. I would have liked to see the scene play out a bit more. You know, using the music as the distraction for the zombies. Love all that. And conceptually, I love the idea. And big explosion. It's very finale. I think it's cool. The CGI was not up to snuff, in my opinion. But I still was able to find enjoyment in it. It just was not this epic conclusion I wanted, because it looked CGI to me. It looked kind of fake to me. And that's just my take on it. So I like that they had a plan and all that. But again, people are saying it was a bit rushed. And here's somewhere where I will agree, because we could have easily had, you know, a 10-minute scene figuring out how to deal with the variant Horde. And here we get a kind of chopped up little montage there. So that's our big conclusion. And the rest of it is kind of an epilogue after that. So we get a big explosion. Pamela's dealt with. The Commonwealth is back to normal, except it's going to be a new normal. And we're here with Pamela. And I like that Carol takes the audience's opinions in mind and says, we already made a hard choice. We didn't kill you. And we try to see a little bit more into Pamela's head. And she's talking about how you know, she had a reason to be the way that she was, and there has to be an incentive in societies. And I do wish that they delved a little bit deeper into her philosophy, because that's what the comic book did. And there is a valid discussion to be had about how you structure society, and you can't just have a flat structure to everything, because you want to give people a reason to work a little extra hard. So I think that there are valid ideas behind what she's talking about. So the show made her a little bit more evil and made these ideas a little bit less central and less interesting. I think that's to the show's detriment. I think they did do things with her character that make it better. So again, comparing between comic and show is always an interesting thing for me. Some things I end up liking better in the show, like how her connection with her son. And Sebastian didn't really die in the comics. In the comics, he actually killed Rick Grimes. Sebastian killed Rick Grimes in the comics, so I'm glad that didn't happen. But at the same time, I do feel like making her extra evil like they did, it does cheapen her a little bit, while it does make the final arc on television a bit more exciting. So yeah, I that's my thoughts on Pamela. I'm glad she's still alive. I get that people wanted to see her killed off, but you know what, it would be a little bit repetitive at this point, because of all the other minor villains that have gotten killed off cathartically already this season. So here we have the final scene with Negan and Maggie, and Maggie's like, I can't forgive you, and talks about in detail, graphic detail, that she will always associate Negan with the death of her husband. And absolutely beautiful scene. Again, very cathartic, really important scene. And I like that she kind of gives him permission to move on with his life in a way. So I think that was a really powerful scene here, and I wonder what you guys have to say about it. We'll react to some chats here. Take another hydration break. Gotta stay hydrated, guys. So how we feeling, guys? Cult of Personality as a song choice was interesting for the song that was used to attract the walkers. Yes, I thought that they had some interesting song choices in general. We got the Thanksgiving scene coming up, and I forget what the name of that song is, but it's a song I've heard a million times. You agree about the blow-up scene? I'm assuming with the CGI being not very good. That CGI was horrible. It really was not up to snuff. You know, it was still fun. Like, I'm not going to harp on it too much, but yeah, it really wasn't great. Talk about society with Pamela could be very difficult in a 90-minute runtime, but that could be interesting. Yeah, that's more for, like, the season overall than necessarily this episode. I don't know that you could get any deeper than they did in that scene we just talked about. I have a question. So what do you think happens to Rick after the scene? I think he goes in a... I mean, what confused me with the ending with Rick, we'll get to it in a second. He had that smile on his face. What does that mean? He had a smile on his face. Somebody must have been in that helicopter that he recognized, right? So I thought it was weird. He spent all that time running. He gets caught again. And then he's happy about it? That's what confused me. So what happens to Rick after that scene? He goes back to CRM, right? He gets a whole show to explain that. Absolutely. I know, but it's just like I'm confused. I'm confused as well. We're going to get to that. I'm very confused. They spent too much time in the dumb Reaper story. I fully agree. I hated the Reaper story. Worst story arc that they did. It was complete filler, very useless. I wish they could have used that in the Commonwealth as well. Yeah, I agree, Laura. I totally agree. Part of it, I think, was the fact that they did 24 episodes in 1 year is a lot. I think that they maybe stretched themselves a little thin. It might have been better if they just did 16 and just didn't have the Reaper arc whatsoever, you know? I feel like we deserved more. Yes, the Commonwealth needed to be rounded up, but they should have planned the episodes are better and reserved the last one for an epilogue rounding off every character. So you wanted a whole episode with just like the kind of after the time jump stuff that we're getting at the end of this episode. You would have liked a whole episode of that. That's pretty much what the comic ending was. So we're going to get into the comic ending later, and I think you will be pleasantly surprised by how the comic ends, and I think it would be exactly what you're looking for. I'm serious. The comic ending is the true ending. That's my opinion on this, straight up. So this is no way better. You know, I'll just say that. Yeah, I know. I'm confused. You're onto something. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna get to that. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. I don't know what to say yet. Okay, let's get back to the review. We're almost done with the review portion. We'll go back and look at the chats, and then we'll talk about the comic ending, and then we have some articles to take a look at, and then I gotta run. Don't want this to go on. We can't do 2 hours. I gotta work tomorrow. I'm Brazilian. I wrote on the channel. Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. You're from Brazil. I really appreciate you being here, Levi. Thank you for checking it out. I appreciate it. I only wish I knew I could speak your language, but you know, you must understand English. So there you go. But yeah, I appreciate everybody coming out here. Let's finish up this review. I'm really looking forward to watching this series and a lot of emotion. You guys don't have it in Brazil yet? Yeah, the ending. I think it was pretty good. I think you're gonna like it overall. But yeah, okay, let's go back to it. So, really great scene with Maggie and Negan here. And here's where I'm like, I thought we were setting up for all these spin-offs. I still have no clue about the spin-off. No idea what's happening. So, you know, I thought we would have had more insight into what's going on with these two, what's going on with Daryl. We do not after this episode at all. So they really were focused on ending this show. Even though we got all these spin-offs on the horizon, I still have no idea. No idea what's happening. Man. Okay, so Dead City. theories. I would love to hear, because I was dead wrong about it. I was dead wrong in my predictions about it. Yeah, this was quite a lengthy scene. And here we get this beautiful Thanksgiving scene. And of course, you know that they timed it with the ending of the show. They know it's Thanksgiving week. I think it was really smart to have this really nice. And we got to see Yumiko and Magna make up again, and then they kiss and all that. And then here's when Gabriel finds out the truth about Rosita. And here's where your boy Shuggy might start to lose his composure a little bit, because this final ending scene was absolutely amazing. And we're saying goodbye to the show itself, in addition to Rosita. And we got this beautiful moment with her and her daughter, and then Gabriel comes in. Oh, and I forgot to mention earlier, Father Gabriel being the one to be brave enough to open the door to save the people. I love Father Gabriel in this episode. When they had him say, we'll see each other again, talking about heaven and the afterlife. I love Father Gabriel in this episode. I'm so glad he didn't die. I had him on my chopping block for death predictions. Him, Jerry, Aaron. I'm glad that they didn't die at the end of the day, because they're some of my favorite characters, and I would absolutely love to see them again in a spinoff. So, I'm perfectly happy to take the L on some of my death predictions because of, who we ended up getting. I really love Gabriel. He opened up the gates, and just the prayers here, and giving Eugene another goodbye moment. That he would never be the man he is today without her. Oh my god, dude. This is the scene that, to me, makes or breaks the, the finale is on its emotions. I gotta pause that real quick, so that we don't get the stream copyright claimed. But, so the amazing acting, the send-off here. We're saying, again, they're using this moment to say goodbye to the series and to the fans, to give us, to say that what their statement they're making is the show matters. It's of course a fictional series, but this has changed our lives, and it's a significant thing. And what Eugene says to her here, that he wouldn't be the same man if they never met. That's kind of how I feel about the show. I don't know if I'd be the same person. The show has impacted me in a lot of ways, and how I think about things and my approach to life. And the ending with a story of hope is big to me. So, I think he was speaking for the audience in a way, I think. And the writers as well, I'm assuming, they have an even bigger connection to it than I do, given the fact that they lived this life for almost 11 years. And here we get the time jump. Now, of course, the time jump not anywhere near as cool as the comic series. We'll get to that in a second. That's our next segment here. But I was happy to see a time jump represented. There was a fourth name on the memorial I didn't recognize. Let me know if you guys recognize them. But I was happy to see, Eugene's got a daughter now, and he named her Rosita. Beautiful, absolutely amazing. And here we got Ezekiel surviving. I was not really expecting, and he looks like he's going to be the new governor, and the lieutenant governor is Mercer, which personally, if I was leader, I would say Mercer should stay in his current position as head of the military, because I trust that man. But vice president or vice governor or whatever, that works too, or lieutenant governor. And then Judith gets a delivery from Negan, and it's a compass that she gave him at some point. I don't remember where this is from. If you guys remember, I would love to know. But it is cool that that's coming back, and that there's a nice little send-off here. We got a lot of letters to deal with at the end. So, I thought that it was, a nice touch here. And again, I would have liked to see a bit more being different after the time jump, but it's cool that we're back in Alexandria, and we got a new leader, and we get a happy ending, and Aaron's there with his daughter, And I could have sworn some more of these characters are gonna die, man. But yeah, here's Lydia. She's got one less arm, but she's perfectly fine for a spinoff, from an AMC perspective. So, and here Father Gabriel again, absolutely love every scene with him in this episode. And here we got a goodbye scene that I feel like was filmed really quickly, after Carol, Melissa McBride, decided she wasn't going to go to Europe for the show. I think they shot this really quick. It's they didn't spend that long writing it either, but I mean, what else do you have to say? It's a goodbye scene, and they say I love you, which was, a big cathartic moment. Of course, a lot of it, there's been a lot of shippers for them, so there's a lot of people that want them to get together. That's not what happened. I don't think that's ever going to happen, except for maybe their own spinoff someday. She gave him the compass before he jumped the wall in season 9. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate that little tidbit. Antonio Flowers, I really appreciate that. So, again, this scene feels a little rushed to me. And again, I find it odd that Daryl is driving away to try to find Rick and Michonne, because he knows Judith doesn't want him to. And it just kind of feels like a betrayal, and it feels like unnecessary. You're trying to find two people who are trying to find each other. It sounds like 3 people are fucking lost to me. You know what I mean? He doesn't have any leads. Where is he going? I don't like this Daryl ending, straight up. And it makes no sense how the fuck he ends up in Europe. No CRM in the picture. I don't understand anything. So, what's happening? Laura says, where did Carol's hair go? Time jump happened, and they had to shoot this last minute, like I said, so they definitely, whatever hair she had at the time is what they had to shoot with. So, and here we get Daryl riding off into the sunset, and now we have Michonne and Rick reminiscing about the past and writing letters to each other. Now, I was wrong in my predictions video. I thought we'd get something like this at the beginning of the episode with the voiceover scenes we've had throughout the season so far. I thought that was where we were going to go with this episode too, but they decided to do it at the end. Honestly, I could have done without this. I didn't need this little clip show thing, and I don't know. It's a little bit too it's a little bit too much of an editing thing for me. But I do like the voiceovers that we have going and what they're saying to each other. In this costume, I mean, what is she wearing? What the hell? I love that she's got a horse. Her sword is there. We got something that looks aesthetic. It looks really cool. And I like the hopeful ideas and the fact that they're writing this. And Rick sends off his message in a bottle, just in the hope that somebody finds it, but he really just wrote that for him, right? It's just keeping that hope alive, and the theme of hope coming back as well was really cool. But again, this is just a teaser. This is just to get us excited for the next show coming out. I have trouble seeing this ending as anything but a marketing move, as much as it is the most exciting thing in the episode, seeing Michonne and Rick, and I like how they edit it so it almost feels like that they're in the same place, even though they're clearly not. So I like to see Rick with, he has the CRM kind of logo embroidered on his clothes. So I really, I like to see the shout outs to the CRM and explain that storyline. Yeah, so this is Rick getting caught by the helicopter. He watches it come down, and then he smiles at the end. Even though clearly he ran away from the CRM, he's out on his own, and then he gets caught up with, and then he gives up to it. He knows he's not going to get away, and then he smiles. He sees somebody in the helicopter he must know, is my opinion on it. So he tried really hard to get away, and it didn't end up working out. So I find that interesting. I will say I'm hoping to get a shot here I can't really play the episode because I'll get copyright claimed, so I'm gonna black out the screen for just a second to try to get the clip that I want. But I like he had the weapon that we got in World Beyond, where they pulverize the zombies, which I think is it was a really cool weapon, and I like to see the World Beyond stuff. You know, even though I didn't care for that show, I appreciate the consistency across the board, and there were good elements about the CRM in the show as well. So CRM or the World Beyond was not all bad. So I am excited to see what goes on with it. I'm hoping to get this still that I want for you guys. Sorry to waste your time with this. But that's pretty much my breakdown of the episode, guys. And again, I have trouble seeing this ending with Rick and Michonne as anything but marketing. This is basically in place of showing us a trailer. So it didn't feel integrated with the story, but I don't know how it really could have. And of course, here we got the Philly skyline. I couldn't get a close-up on it. I'm sorry, guys. We're just gonna have to keep going on. But yeah, that's the cool little bat thing. It has like those three things that pierce the zombies at the end. He pulverizes a zombie head with it. I thought that was really cool. So I'm really excited for this next storyline with the CRM, and I figure we're going to end up at a place where it's CRM versus the Commonwealth, these two big groups who end up being in conflict with each other. I think that's the next chapter of the Walking Dead storyline, and I, for one, am excited to see it. Rick, of course, and Michonne, two of my favorite Walking Dead characters. The show is not over until we see what happens to them, as far as I'm concerned. So the show's not over yet, for me. So that's why it's not really a true ending. And that's my review of this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review. And with that, it's been your boy Shuggy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Just kidding, that was for the edit when I edit this down into a full review later. I'm not going anywhere yet. We have a bit more to get to. I want to read what you guys have to say. Then we got some articles to look at, and of course we're going to take a look at the original comic ending and see how it compares. So let's take a look at some of your guys' chat. I appreciate everybody being here with me today. Let's see. You agree about Daryl ending with the kids either? Yeah, I don't know why he would want to abandon the kids. I mean, these kids have been through so much, you know. They've been through so much. They don't deserve to be abandoned every time. Negan expressing his love for his wife and child, then leaving with Maggie in the spinoff seems a little unexplained. Yes, and also Maggie leaving. Maggie leaving her son Herschel. There's no real excuse for that. That's why my theory for the series Dead City was that Negan's wife and Maggie's son Herschel, I thought that they were going to be Designation 2, which I thought meant CRM. We never found out what Designation 2 is. We never found out why people are disappearing from the Commonwealth. That's the biggest disappointment to me. The fact they didn't answer that in the show itself seems like a huge missed opportunity. So, yeah, I think we agree on that. What if at the end of the episode, the CRM led by Rick Grimes killed everyone in the Commonwealth except Daryl, Maggie, and Negan, and maybe Carol, but since she didn't want to be in the spinoff, that would have been a little much to me. I don't want to see Rick leading the CRM and doing that evil shit, you know? I mean, I guess we have him turning to the dark side, but there's no way he would ever... He would kill himself before he would kill everybody that he cared about. I think it would go against everything his character, unless he's been through such a thorough brainwashing that he just doesn't even remember shit. But they're already doing that with Madison on Fear the Walking Dead, so it would be like repetitive to do that. So I don't know. I that would have been funny, but no, I would not have liked that. Laura says it was a break shot from Wakanda for Michonne. I still have never seen Black Panther or anything, but I know she's in that. And, you know, I'm glad that she's getting the success she deserves. I think she's a great actress. It looked like she brought a Wakanda outfit to set that day. That's too accurate, Antonio. That is too accurate. Negan, yes, I knew what you meant. What do you guys think of how it should have ended? I just typed above. Yeah, we already talked about that. Laura, you think it ended badly? I think that's a fair opinion. I can see where you're coming from. Bro, that smile at the end, I know. What does that mean? What does the smile mean? I don't know. Maybe it's like a reference to Ezekiel, you know? And yet I smile. Glad to see that he isn't a CRM soldier, but he's wearing a jacket that has CRM embroidered on it. He was running away, so he wasn't a CRM soldier while he's running away, but presumably as soon as he gets in that helicopter, he's a CRM soldier again. Presumably. Sounded like Victor from The Walking Dead. Yeah, I can see that. Imagine, imagining how many times Rick tried to escape from what the guy said. Yeah, he must be constantly trying to escape. He must have spent the last however many years it's been. Has it been six years since he left? Yeah, he must have tried to escape so many times. I'm surprised they didn't just kill him already. Not enough time to give my full opinion on what I would have done. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Please, God, don't let fear overflow into the spinoffs. It's awful. I agree. Fear of the Walking Dead, especially season 7, was an absolute travesty. That and World Beyond made me really scared for the final season of the show. Thankfully, I think that with the part 3, they stuck the landing and they have an ending to be proud of. But it got rough there. Season 10 bonus episodes, World Beyond, Fear of the Walking Dead season 6 and 7, and I almost lost faith in the show. So, and Tales of the Walking Dead was horrible this year. You guys saw my reviews of that. So my faith in Walking Dead was a little shaken, but this ending has restored some of the confidence, and I'm willing to give anything that they have in the future a shot. I will say that. I think the CRM should have been the reason why the Commonwealth blew up, and everyone dies except Maggie, Daryl, Maggie, Nee. I would have liked to see CRM in the picture, or at least a reveal about how all the people have been disappearing. They didn't even explain it, dude. I get that the comic book ending was great, but the show has been way more popular than the comics. Very true. So many characters we love are just left to guess. I wanted The Walking Dead to end, not a cliffhanger. You mean Rick and Michonne? Because I think that was already predetermined. I don't know that they could have done much with that. I felt like they did a pretty good job saying goodbye to everybody. I like it was a happy ending. Yeah, so I agree with you in some ways, though, for sure. That's why CRM killing everyone would have been great. Absolutely agree about Designation 2. Yeah, what they just planted that seed and did nothing with that. So I'm really confused what Designation 2 is. It has to be CRM, and they're just like too scared to bring in the CRM yet. I don't think they want to lock in anything CRM wise until the show comes out. I don't know. Looks like a prisoner. Rick does? Yes, absolutely. Or what if while Daryl is driving on a motorcycle, the CRM stops him in the road and kidnaps him? Yeah, that could happen. They obviously have a lot of territory. So, yeah, he could definitely get involved with them at some point. But I think it's weird that they would just take a stranger and trust them enough to send them on a mission. Like, that would be a very expensive endeavor to go all the way to Europe. I have trouble buying it. I mean, they would want to send their own people that they trust to actually come back, right? People that are actually loyal. I don't know if they would want to trust some random ass dude, and why would they think Daryl is anything special, What would they have? What would they know about him, unless they've heard about him from Rick or other people. But I feel like Rick is staying tight-lipped. He hasn't told them anything, This episode and the last episode definitely boosted my season a bit. I agree. 19 through 22 were a bit rough at times. Is that earlier in part 3? I thought part 3 was pretty strong the whole way through. I liked it. I thought it was a good ending. Nothing left me feeling empty. I really like the edit of all the people that aren't alive anymore. Okay, we disagree on that, but it was a nice, touching the send-off moment thing. Negan's Maggie's talk with Negan was great. Absolutely. That's one of the standout scenes from the episode. Great episode. Glad you enjoyed it. Evil Sandwich. Ultra plays, yo gang, where can I watch World Beyond and Red Machete for free? We don't have AMC Plus in Europe though. I don't know. You might be able to get it on Amazon, but you might need to pay for the episodes. I don't know. I don't know what they have in Europe. I know in like UK it's on Disney Plus, but I don't know if the spinoffs are there. I'm sorry, I don't know. Red Machete though, honestly, I think it's just on YouTube. I wouldn't even bother with it though. It's just like it's kind of a fun short, but it's not anything amazing. World Beyond, honestly, I didn't really care for. I would say you could just take or leave it. But if you really want to watch it, maybe I think you're gonna regret that decision. This finale could have blown any other large finale out of the water, but the stupid pacing ruined it. You think it's too fast, like too much crammed into one episode? I don't necessarily disagree with that. Definitely this whole season somehow felt rushed, even though they had extra episodes, because they tried to cram in that the Reaper storyline, which was a waste of time in my opinion. This last episode felt so rushed. I don't necessarily disagree. Guarantee we will not see most of the characters again. Unfortunately, I think you might be right, yeah. I do hope that we get some kind of big arc with the Commonwealth and the future of it. I hope we see a lot of them. I don't know. It hurts that the show is over. Give us your overall thoughts on the series as a whole, the message, the story, etc. That's a big question. That is a big question. Hang on, I need to take a drink of water before I can think about that. So the series as a whole, the message, I think the message is best put by Robert Kirkman, which is that The Walking Dead is a story of survival. It is a story of rebuilding civilization. It is a story of desperate people that lose absolutely everything, including their family, and then they come together and make a new family, and they survive past the hardest possible odds, and life always finds a way, and there's hope for the future, and that to me is the message of the comic and the ending that it had, and I'm so glad that it translated somewhat to the show. Although I wish we got the image of Rick Grimes in the comic as the kind of savior of civilization that he was in the comics, and I think that element was kind of missing, but that naturally with Rick not on the show anymore, you can't really do that. So I guess does that answer the question? Overall thoughts on the series? I love the first 6 seasons of the show. 7 and 8, there's filler in it. Should have been one season. The Negan stuff. Although rewatching it, there's a lot more to appreciate than I did at the time. But I felt it was a little padded out. We had a bunch of extra storylines. We had Oceanside. We had, we had the garbage people. A bunch of those are filler arcs to me. So that's the issue that I had. 9 and 10, I thought brought it back. Had the Whisper arc, which was amazing, and I thought that they really had this creative renaissance in those times. Season 10 bonus episodes, hard crash in the quality, and they worked their way back up slowly. Part 1, Reaper arc, not great. But yeah, don't do it. No wrong answers. Oh God, did I give the right answer? I don't know. No, don't tell me that. What did I say? That was so bad. But yeah, so you guys know my thoughts on the final season. I think we covered that. So that's my thoughts on the show overall. Rick probably went along with things for a while at the CRM, but probably started getting Terminus vibes. I agree. CRM, they wiped out thousands of their own people. They're absolutely evil. There's no question about it. And they did it because their computers told them that their society would crumble at some point. Oh yeah, because the computers are so smart, right? Yeah, so CRM, very evil, very evil. I think at the end, Rick should have been a major general in a huge CRM mansion as a valuable leader, and almost like the president of the CRM, if that makes sense. That would have been really cool, and I think we are going to get something like that, but here what we got is a preview of the show to come, and I don't know when this takes place, but I think that this part with Rick takes place before the stuff with Michonne. I could be wrong, but I feel like Rick is going to be an important person at the CRM rather, and I think we are going to see something like that. I think you might be onto something, yo boy, with Rick being a major general or something like that. I think he might be. Stupid Reaper arc. Yes, I think. Does anybody actually like the Reaper arc? I would like to see have some discussions about that, because I think we all agree it was crap, right? There's a lot of episodes we'll never get back. 23 should have rounded up Commonwealth. Maybe. Where the statue, though? I really want to see some sort of statue, but no character really giving a speech. You mean how in the comic they made a statue to Rick? Is that what you mean? And we would have liked to see something like that. No real character gave a speech. Yeah, Ezekiel had the moment to really give a speech at the end, and they didn't. The epilogue was kind of rushed. Now that I think about it. Yes. Where was the big speech to turn Pamela? Daryl had like a 10-second talk, and everyone turned. Tyler, you're absolutely right. It was way too easy, and especially because in the comic we had that epic Rick speech at the end of the second to last issue, where Rick kind of gives the Commonwealth a great send off. So, I fully agree. They could have done better with that. Alex, I can accept that answer. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. When Rick leaves the show, for me, it's the same sensation when Michael Scott leaves The Office. I haven't watched too much of The Office, but Michael Scott is the main guy, right? So, yeah, it does feel weird losing your main character. And that's why the comic will always be the comic to me, it's Rick Grimes' story, and that's it. And that's why it's ultimately better than the show, because you got more closure, and it was more focused. And Rick's arc in the show, they made a bit more confusing. They made him a bit more of an anti-hero. Whereas in the comic, he's a bit more strictly moral and is a bit more of an inspiring figure for that reason. So I like the comic better overall for that reason. We're going to get into the comic ending in just a second here, once I get caught up with the chats here. I wasn't talking about the cliffhanger with Rick and Michonne. I'm talking about the main characters still back home, like I said earlier. Comic book epilogue should have played into the show, having a full after having a full episode with just the epilogue would have been awesome, especially if they did something like what we're going to talk about in a second here. This final issue of the comic is so amazing. Like, I was so blown away by the original ending, and that's just not how I feel about the show. The comic ending all the way. And the reason why Rick would have been so evil is because he'd forgotten everything that happened due to explosion on the bridge. Okay, yeah. I don't know. I kind of hate the convenient amnesia thing, but it could be. I could. You never know. Rosita death is the saddest death ever. I cry. Yeah, that was amazing. Honestly, if you take Rosita's death out of the episode, hey, we're getting sex bots, guys. Oh my god, I didn't know I was important enough to get a sex bot. Okay, they should be gone now. So I'm sorry, I got distracted by that. What were we talking about? Rosita. Yeah, if you take Rosita's death out of this episode, it crumbles completely, and there's absolutely no emotional catharsis at all. So that was the center point of this episode, is Rosita's death, and I think they absolutely annihilated that. As soon as this episode ends, I need that wallpaper. What wallpaper? What wallpaper is that? Let's go to bed, my dude, to work tomorrow. I know, I gotta go to bed too. It's almost midnight. Crap. Have a good night. Thanks for doing it. Yeah, thank you for coming out, Alex. I really appreciate it, giving your thoughts and stuff. Appreciate having you here. Have a good night, my friend. I appreciate how you're being honest with all this and not writing The Walking Dead. Always gotta keep it honest, dude. I've always called balls and strikes. I started my channel because I was concerned about The Walking Dead not living up to its proper expectations that they set up, and sliding down, the quality disappearing. So being critical of The Walking Dead, I have no issue with, but I want to be celebratory today because of how much I loved it. But yeah, I'm never going to sugarcoat when I have an issue with something or when it's not perfect. If I had to give this episode a score, since we're doing a live stream, let's do it. I think that I would give it, maybe a 7 or an 8. I wish the right behind me, that's curtains. That's not wallpaper. But yeah, I give it a 7 or an 8. Not I was hoping for a 9 or a 10. It's not like one of the best Walking Dead episodes ever, but we had so many emotional catharsis moments that it was an amazing episode. I gotta give it props for all that. Um, Daryl said saying "We are not the Walking Dead" felt very quiet and not important. Yeah, it was a little shout out to the comics, and it had no payoff. So I agree with you there, Meest. Yeah, this was really weird. Also, where were the 50,000 people in the Commonwealth? Max said like 100 people. Yeah, yeah. Where was everybody? There's thousands of people unaccounted for. Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, getting extras together is one of the hardest parts of being in the film industry. I've worked on big shows like The Walking Dead. Not quite as big as, you know what? Actually, I've been on stuff that's close to as big as The Walking Dead. You'd be surprised. It's hard to get extras. They only get paid like less than $200 a day, so you can imagine it's hard to get people sometimes, even for a big budget show. I would be an extra for free in The Walking Dead. I don't think they would let you, um, except for like big crowd scenes with like in a stadium or something. They wouldn't pay everybody for that. But if you're an extra on set for the show, you're getting paid basically. Everything should have went down at the end. Judas should have been left in the room with the bed, and everything by the room. The one right behind you. Rip. Hello there. Overall, the Rick and Michonne ending was pretty good. I agree that's the most exciting part of the episode. There's been better episodes in part 3 than the finale. I might agree with that. Although this episode had the most emotional payoff moments, so um, should have hired the best director ever for this last episode. I don't agree with hiring somebody new to the show for the final episode. I think having Greg Nicotero do it he was the right guy. I think he was the director who made the most episodes. He's been there the longest. He's been there with the actors the longest. I think it was the right decision to I think it was the right decision to have Greg Nicotero direct it. Even though he makes a lot of directing choices that I don't care for personally, like in terms of shot choice and stuff, but the performances that he gets are always good, and he did good with zombie action and stuff as always. So I can't complain about the directing for this episode. I didn't watch stream from the beginning, but did y'all forgive Negan after he became a better person, even though he killed Glenn and Abraham, or do you still hate him? This is a great question. I love Negan. That's my bias. I always like Negan. I hate that he killed Glenn and Abraham, right? But at the end of the day, I see it from his perspective too, because our guys killed a lot of his guys, and you can't let something like that slide without some sort of retaliation. So I can see it from both sides with the Negan thing. So I'm a fan of his character. In the comic, he walked off and then wasn't in the ending. There's a shout out to him in the end. But yeah, he didn't get the send off he did in the show, which I think they actually improved on. How do you feel about the ending? Pretty good. It was solid. I liked it. Not as good as the comic ending. I think they showed too much Michonne. Maybe. I think so too. I think her with the horse and the charging, it looked a little silly, if I'm being honest. Now I think about it. So I think I might agree with you boy. But for the last part of this stream, I'm gonna zoom in my camera here so that we can see the comic book a little better. And I appreciate you guys all being here, by the way. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we were able to do the stream today. But I just wanted to go through a little bit of the final comic ending. So basically, the final issue was a time jump. Rick Grimes gets killed by Sebastian in the issue previous to this, and then Carl Grimes is fully grown in the start of this issue, and we see him right there. So very satisfying to see Carl all grown up, and it was far enough into the future that it felt like a big jump. So, you know, and at this point, he's married to Sophia, who of course died in the show, and then they have a kid together. So it was really cool to see, you know, the fact that, you know, we get to see progression with Carl, and obviously Carl devastatingly died. So it was really cool. We got to see, you know, it was like the Wild West, and you can see that Herschel had a traveling The Walking Dead exhibit where he's carrying zombies into town because it's that safe that they feel willing to do that. So it's the next step of the Commonwealth, and things are bigger. The ending is so much cooler in the comic, guys, and I love this final conflict because, you know, they disagree on the. Carl doesn't believe in having these zombies paraded around town. He thinks it's a liability, and it ends up going. I mean, just look at some of this artwork; it's absolutely amazing, and I love the Western vibes that you're getting from this. So I really like the original comic ending, and we get even bigger things like. Maggie was actually the president. She was not just the governor, she was the president. Like, we started a whole country now, and she's the president. That's why she neglected her son Herschel. But in the show, we got Ezekiel being the new governor, so it didn't feel quite as cool. And we also had Michonne in the comic as a Supreme Court justice, and they have a court case about you know, Carl killing all the zombies. You know, what the Herschel is saying, that was my property, you had no right to kill all the zombies. And there's a court case about that. Eugene is here getting the train tracks running again. And of course, in the comics, Eugene ended up with Michonne, or with Rosita. He actually ended up hooking up with Rosita, and Rosita died in the Whisperer arc. She got her head cut off and was on the pikes. So I was surprised when the show didn't kill her off then, honestly. So I really love this original comic ending. And for people that aren't satisfied with the show ending, and I totally understand that, you got to give the comic a chance. It is more focused. It is the story you're looking for. It is the ending that will satisfy you the most, I think. So yeah, here's Michonne, a Supreme Court justice. So we got to see time jump in the future, and the Commonwealth was bigger. It was the whole country. It basically is the new version of the United States. And I absolutely love the hopeful ending. And we have a statue of Rick. I'm going to get that up on screen here. Here's Rick, statue of him, and his epic speech defending the Commonwealth inspired people for the rest of time, and the story of Rick Grimes is what we end on. You know, Carl's daughter here is being told the story of Rick Grimes, and she wants to hear the story again, and that is where it ends, and it is a story of hope. So I absolutely love the original ending, and the show doesn't touch it. That's the truth of it. But we had that emotional payoffs with Rosita. We had amazing scenes with Negan and Maggie. And overall, it was really good. So, yeah, that is all my feelings on the episode. We had the full breakdown and all of that. I had some articles to get into. I don't know what you guys are thinking. We still got people watching. I think we might go into some of the articles real quick. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. I'm glad to see Rick, but yeah, too much Michonne. Yeah, I can see what you mean with that. I'm glad that we're not starting off that show with them having found each other already. That would have been weird. I still am on record as saying I would have preferred movies for the Rick Grimes thing because it would have been a bigger budget. And I'm a little disappointed it's a show. And honestly, as far as I was looking at it, it was supposed to be a movie trilogy, right? I think that Michonne should not have been in the first movie, you know? So I think it's weird that we're designing a show around them. Do you ever think that after the spin-offs end, they will renew the Walking Dead main show for sort of a part two? This is surely a moneymaker for AMC. Growing up Judith and RJ and Gracie and other children. I think that we'll get something that continues the story of Alexandria, kind of after the Rick thing. I don't know if it'll be a show called The Walking Dead or if it'll be called something else. We'll see what they do with marketing. But I doubt. I think The Walking Dead, the name is over. I think The Walking Dead show is done. I think it'll be called something else if they do that. Surely a moneymaker for AMC. I mean, you say that, but they ended the show, right? Now, they might have done that for marketing to bring more eyes to it. We know viewership has been dropping through the years. I would be curious to see how many people watch it on streaming. We don't get those numbers released publicly. So we don't really know how many people are watching the show at this point. So it's kind of hard to judge, if they cut it off because people were losing interest, or what their interest would be in a revival. So it's hard to say, Tyler. It's hard to say. Saw info about the original ending they were going to do. Very glad we got the ending we got. Whoa, interesting, man. I want to hear what that is. I was happy to see my boy Lance back as a walker. That was awesome. Thought on Negan and Maggie's last conversation. Oh, talking about Glenn. That was beautiful, man. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm pissed that we'll never get another long series like The Walking Dead. I can't stand 6-episode seasons. Yeah, that's the thing with the streaming services and everything being so fractured now. It's kind of hard to picture a streaming series lasting for 11 seasons at this stage. So I see where you're coming from. I feel the pain. There will be another one. Don't fret too much. There will be another show that lasts long. It might just not happen anytime soon. 6-episode seasons, man, I'm all about quality over quantity. If it's only 6-episode seasons, that's fine to me, as long as the quality is there. But yeah, I see what you mean. Let's bring up these articles, because I think we're done with the show at this point. And let's take a look at some of the news surrounding The Walking Dead and what's coming up. So give me 1 second. Okay. All right. We're gonna take the chat off the screen. Sorry, guys. So yeah, we have news that Norman Reedus is filming in France. Of course, he was at the premiere tonight, so I'm assuming he's not there now. But they are filming the show, and we got some casting notes about the show as well. So we got the French lady from Harry Potter, Fleur Delacour. She is in the show. Her name is Posey. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Clemence Posey and Adam Nagatis. So these are French characters. And Fleur Delacour, she's playing Isabelle, a member of a progressive religious group who joins forces with Daryl on a journey across France and finds herself confronting her dark past in Paris. Now, of course, Walking Dead shows live and die on their characters. We need new cast members for these spinoffs to work, especially if we're going to go all the way to France. So, we have a good actress here. One thing that I'm a little concerned by is a member of a progressive religious group. I don't know what the word progressive in this context means, but I'm a little concerned it's going to be something weird. What do you guys think about that? She's a member of a progressive religious group. Like, what religion is it? Is it just some weird new age thing? Or is it just like, does that just mean, oh, we're Christian, but we do gay marriages? Like, what does that mean? I don't know. I don't really want progressive politics in my shows, so I don't really want that to mean what it sounds like. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that something I should be concerned about? Nagatis is described as he's playing a guy named Quinn, and he's a displaced Brit who's become powerful in post-apocalyptic Paris as a black marketeer and owner of Dem and Monde, a sexy underground nightclub. Now, here's what I found interesting is we got set photos from Dead City, and they had a bar scene in there. So we have a kind of a repetition going, and this is something that you gotta watch with the spin-offs. We have a character here who's got an underground nightclub, and we got a bar in the upcoming Dead City spin-off. It's a little repetitive, man. It's a little repetitive. So I hope that they don't do too much repetition, but I like the idea of somebody being a smuggler, but at the end of the day, there's no government or anything, so isn't like all trade kind of smuggling? I don't know. I don't really know what a black market would mean in an apocalyptic context. I'm not really sure. So yeah, and we know that Angela Kang is not running the show anymore. It's yeah. So I'm curious to see how that show ends up. Yeah, Norman Reedus said there's going to be familiar faces in the Walking Dead spinoff, which I have no idea how that's going to work either, because he ran off on his own. So the fact that, like, the coincidence that would have to happen for him to run into anybody that he knows, it's kind of ridiculous. So I don't know. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Do you ever think they will reboot The Walking Dead once it fizzles out? Maybe like a decade or something. I don't know. I like, as a fan, I don't know that I wouldn't want that, and I don't even know if there would be interest in it. I don't know, man. Maybe. What would you do? I mean, they would just do what, a more faithful version of the comic, or what? I don't see the point. I like how they adapted it, though. It wasn't exactly the same. So, The Last of Us could be it. I will be covering The Last of Us in the future, that's for sure. True, The Walking Dead is better than The Last of Us in my opinion. Yeah, overall, I'm more of a Walking Dead fan, but that first Last of Us game is so good. The Walking Dead made zombies cool again and not a joke. Yeah, the Last of Us would not exist without The Walking Dead. I mean, there's just no doubt about it in my mind. The Last of Us should be around different characters, don't you think? The Last of Us, I'll be straight up, I hated The Last of Us 2. The storyline, I found it dull. I didn't like any of the new characters, and I just wasn't intrigued by the revenge storyline. I was instantly just like, yeah, I don't really care about the story anymore. So if they do the Last of Us 2 storyline in the show, I'm gonna tune out. I'll just be honest. I'm gonna tune out. I'm not gonna watch it, but I will cover the first season. I'm curious how they adapt the game. Michonne looked ridiculous in this last episode. I don't necessarily disagree, Tina. It was a little silly. Isabel is the demon spirit Jezebel's other name. Isabel and Jezebel are the same person. Interesting. Oh, okay. So you're saying this Isabel character has some kind of duality going on, and they mentioned, her having a dark past. That's a really good point there. What did you think about all the commercials with zombies? Was that cool? I'm not watching on TV. I watched it on streaming, so I didn't see any commercials. But I think I have it recorded, so I might check out some of the commercials. Were they really cool? They did a lot of zombie stuff. I'm glad I got viewers in Asia. I'm sorry I don't speak your language, but thanks for coming out. Share it with me, man. Forgive me. I'm glad to have you here. No, you got to use Google Translate. That's okay with me. I'm glad you're here. I love that viewers from across the world. It's really cool to me. So yeah, okay. Let's check out some of these articles. So we're gonna have familiar faces in France, which makes no sense, and it's gonna be coincidences galore. I'm really a little perplexed. Okay, so Angela Kang had a note about the spinoffs' possible time jumps. When the spinoffs pick up, it's not going to be exactly where you think it's going to pick up. So those are doing their thing. They're taking the ball and running down the field with it. We're starting here. So that's kind of how we deal with wrangling between the main show and the spinoffs. Yeah, there's going to be some distance, and I don't think we're going to get an explanation for how Daryl gets to France until after the show starts. He's starting off with amnesia. We learned that already. So yeah, and there's rumors. So we got an article here on the side. Will Cassidy McClincy star in Daryl Dixon spinoff? She was apparently in France while Daryl or Norman was in France. So there's speculation that she might be one of the familiar faces, which again, how would she get there? And the coincidence of them both happening to end up over there is a little crazy to me. So yeah, we covered that. Is Fear the Walking Dead canceled? No, of course not. We know it's coming back. I honestly kind of want this season to be the last one. As much as I mean, if we can get new showrunners, that would be great, but I just don't think that's going to happen. On the red carpet thing, Lenny James said that they are going to do a lot of, they're going to put his character through a lot of pain. So Morgan's going to be through a lot of shit. I don't know how much further you can really even go with it. So that's all the articles I had pulled up. I have one more. Night of the Living Dead sequels in the works from somebody who wrote some episodes in season 9 and 10. I think that's cool. And that's pretty much the show we have for tonight, guys. And let's just take a look at your chats one last time. And I appreciate everybody coming out. I'm so glad we had so many people here. I've never had this many people on a stream before, so this is like really crazy to me. And I'm so glad that you guys take time out of your day to spend time with me and break down the episode with me and stuff. Any final thoughts before we sign off for the evening? I have work in the morning, so I'm so glad you guys are here with me, but we are going to be wrapping up here shortly. Gareth was zombified in a commercial? That's awesome. Gareth from Terminus. That's really cool. Looking forward to all the spinoff series. I agree. I'm looking forward to The Last of Us. Are you going to be checking that out too? Great. I'm burnt out on Fear. I feel you on that, Eric. It's going to be a struggle. I'm going to review it. I understand if you don't want to see my reviews. If you're going to skip Fear, I totally understand that. I would have done the same if I was just reviewing, or if I was just a viewer. But now that I am a YouTuber, I'm going to watch the episode for you guys. So if I have a brain aneurysm, I blame you guys. Glad to be here. Thanks so much. Enjoyed it. I'm glad that you're here, Eric, and I'm glad that you enjoyed the stream, and I'm glad that, I'm glad that this really worked out. I'm so glad that I did this tonight. I almost didn't. I almost had to call it off because I had mono for 2 weeks, and I was just like so sick. I couldn't even picture myself doing it, but here we are. At the CDC, they were told the French were the last CDC to hold out. Yes, and Tina, if you have not seen The World Beyond series finale, I would check out the final post-credit scene that they have. They go into a little bit of what the Daryl show is going to be about. They actually showed variants in France, and these are different from the variants in the main show. Now, these are really, really fast zombies. So really check that out. They actually had a guy, the CDC guy from season 1 was in that scene. He was basically in communication with people in France, and the French were the last to hold out, like you said. So I love that connection. I'm really excited to see where that goes. The variants in the Daryl show are going to be one of the more interesting parts. But yeah, thanks so much, guys. Thanks, man. Have a good night. Appreciate it. Rick, Sarah, thanks so much. Sorry, Sarah. Looks like you're joining us at the last minute. We're going to be wrapping up here. I just want to say, future of the channel, we're going to be covering Walking Dead in the future. So all the spinoffs that are coming out next year, we will be covering that. And yes, I am going to cover the Clementine Book 2 comic. We're going to probably do another feature-length review of how awful that book is going to be. So I'm looking forward to that, but I'm trying to add in new shows here and there. So if you guys are interested in some shows, definitely hit me up in the chat or comment later. I would love to hear what you guys are interested in, what shows you guys are watching. I'm going to be covering The Last of Us, and I'm looking for other stuff in the meantime. And if you guys check my channel, I do have a gaming channel now, Shook Earth Gaming. So I'm going to probably do some more streams. I like streaming, and now I got you guys watching, we're going to be doing more streams in the future, so be on the lookout for that. But if you're into gaming content, definitely sub on my gaming channel, because I'm going to try to move gaming content away from my main channel, because most of you guys are just into shows, and that's totally fine. I want to give you guys what you want from my channel. But anyways, with that, it's been your boy Shuggy, and I'm a happy guy today, and I'm excited that we got a decent ending to the show. But as I said, it's not 100% the true ending, because this will always be the true ending to me, and that's my feelings on it. So I'm so glad that you guys all spent your nights with me, and I hope you guys enjoy the episode as well. And we'll see you guys in future streams, I hope. Definitely sub if this is your first time here. I hope to see you on more videos and streams and stuff. And I'll see you